But let me show you something interesting that happened. When I did this, I told you I wasn't happy with it. It was just the bright green. And I kept adding more color and trying to change the colors, and finally it was so full of ink. There was just so much ink on this stuff because it doesn't soak in. This is a non-porous surface. You could see it starting to happen here. Only I had even a lot more ink on that one. The ink is pooling up on the edges. I had these big dark areas of ink, and I suddenly realized I had so much ink on there it was ridiculous, and I needed to do something. And so I took a paper towel and discovered something very cool. You can do printing with the ink. Now here I've got a paper towel. I don't know if you can see. It's got a bit of an interesting, almost like a quilted texture. And you can just lay it right on there. I gave it one smooth across. And look at that. So you could actually make prints on paper or cardstock, on mulberry paper or tissue. That's very cool. But look at the frame. Now the frame has a very cool texture to it as well. So that's an option. It actually is not an option that I'm interested in. I'm going to go back in and cover that up with the ink. I really like the dark, bright blue color that I had. In fact, I need definitely some more purple and some more sailboat blue. And maybe just a teeny bit of stream. And so this is what I mean, that you can just keep going back in, changing it, dabbing, playing, removing, adding more. So the final step, once you have your frame inked the way you like it, is to reveal where your die cuts are. And the easiest way to do that is to use a sanding block. You need to have a very fine sandpaper adhered to a flat surface. You can't use just sandpaper in your fingers because it will dip down in the spaces and remove more than what you want removed. So when you use your sanding block, it's important to keep it very flat and just put it on your frame. See, I don't want to put it like this because I'm going to take off too much. Put it with as much surface area as possible, and then just go in circles. Now there may be some areas that you find are deeper and don't want to come up, and we'll deal with those in a minute. So there's most of that word. Let's get this scroll. And again, don't worry about perfection with something like this. It's meant to have a mottled, splotchy kind of look, but we can go back and clean up, especially the letters, a bit more, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Let's see, let's get this butterfly and this bit of the scroll. Not butterfly, dragonfly. Getting there. Now there's not a lot here, so I want to be very careful. See how I dug in over there? I'm going to have to come back with my ink and fix that area. And that's easy enough to do. And let's see how our little birdie came out. Oh, I like him. He's cute. Now there's something I didn't think of when I did the 2 layers. So there you have the beginnings. And now let's go back and refine this a little bit. The thing I have found the most useful is a water pen. Fill it with this stuff, alcohol blending solution. And we will use this. Now make sure when you do this with your pen that you label it and that you don't ever use it for water-based products again. Just use it for alcohol blending solution. We need this and a piece of paper towel. you're going to be very methodical about how you do this so that you don't remove ink from anywhere you don't want to remove it. So add some solution, dab. That's it. Clean off the brush tip. Let me show you that again. Put the solution in a small area that you want to remove, dab with the paper towel. Clean off the brush tip. If you follow these steps, you'll find that you're not removing ink from places that you want to keep it. You're just taking it from where you want to get rid of it. Always just clean off the brush tip on the paper towel till it runs clear again. Now I'm not going to stress about getting every speck of ink off of this. I just want you to be able to look at it and tell that it's a dragonfly. And dab. Don't rub, don't scrub, just dab. Clean off your blending tool tip. Dab, clean. And you might want to leave some of these. They're kind of interesting looking. Like I said, with this particular look is not one that really needs to have perfection. But I do want the letters to be a little bit more cleaned up. Dab. Just so that they're readable. Clean off the brush tip. And so on. The problem is if you don't clean off the brush tip, when you go back to the next area, you're simply adding more ink rather than taking it away. It just doesn't work as well. So I'm going to keep doing that until you're happy with it. And I'm going to skip over this now and just work on my little bird because I think I want to see more of him. Because I'm kind of fond of this dye. Now I did wipe there because the bird goes all the way to the edge of the frame. And there was a lot of ink to wipe off. Clean off the brush tip. See? Even I forget it half the time. But I get quickly reminded when I go back and see that I'm not removing much the next step. And so you'll just continue on like that until you're happy with it. I have to go back in with my ink blending tool, or you can leave it. It's up to you. I think I will go back in and dab in some more ink where I accidentally sanded it off on the edges. I think I'll clean this off. And you'll see a picture on the blog of this all cleaned up and finished the way I want it. And that is how you do brayered embossing alcohol ink technique. This time on a photo frame. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me show you a couple other things that I made with this technique. I was in need of a shallow tray for jewelry. I had, actually, before I show you this, I had all my pieces of broken jewelry and jewelry that needed to be taken apart, redone in this. This is a great little tray for seed beads, and when you're done with them, you pour them back into the bottle, or for glitter, or embossing powder. And I couldn't ever use it because I had all my broken jewelry in it. And I never thought to fix the broken jewelry because this isn't real attractive, so I stuffed it in the back of the cabinet. So I said, I need a shallow tray, and it needs to be pretty. And what I found was this set, and it was actually a set of hinged boxes. See, here's the base, and you could see where I removed the hinges from this. But I just removed the hardware, took off the lids, and made these two into shallow trays for my jewelry that needs working on. Now here's one example of a place where the tape wasn't long enough to reach all the way from here up, over, and down. I made a template just the same way I showed you how to make a template, except that it only reached to about here. So what I had to do was add in another piece of tape right here, and then use my template to do the outside and the top edge and the inner wrap. Instead of die-cut shapes, what I use, this is Tim Holtz's scallop edge, and on the edge die. And instead of wiping the ink away from the whole thing, because there's a lot of surface area that would be silver, I just did the very edge. I just hit the edge with my sanding tool, just to kind of show up the edge of those scallops. And then I dabbed it with a rainbow of colors and flocked the inside. This one, I used something a little bit different. I love the way this came out. These, instead of being die cuts at all, are magenta style stickers that I just peeled off and cut up into pieces and applied. I think these I did wrap around the top edge, although I didn't sand the top edge, so you hardly even notice them. But I love the way they came out when I sanded them, and you just see that little bit of the flowers. This one, actually, it was such a pain in the neck to ink these inner edges, and I made such a mess doing it, that I decided I didn't even, you probably may not even be able to tell, I did not ink these inner edges because the reflection of the flocking colors the inner edges blue. So there's a couple ideas. Here's another project that I haven't done yet, but I think I will soon. Just a little round box that I actually keep leftover die cuts in. And you would do this the same way. Make a template. This one would have to be a couple pieces of tape. I'd probably make it just a little wider and roll it over the edge. And then wrap it around, either cover the bottom with felt or with tape, and have some pretty die cuts. And here's a few other ideas for dies that I thought of using and may in the future. This is a Martha Stewart punch, the butterflies. Butterflies are very popular now. And that would be really pretty. This is Tim Holtz's set of tattered florals. And I thought these would be fun. Actually, I thought these would be interesting even on something narrow like a frame. This is the smallest one in his set. But even if you were to use the big ones, and just have them, you know, on the edges, it might be kind of cool and funky. Or you could certainly just put a couple in here. So those are a few ideas for you, a few other things that you can do with this technique. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you try it out. Let me know if you do, and send me some pictures. I'd love to put them on the blog. Thanks again. Bye-bye.